Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel at Lisa Mears Card Designs, go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can be updated on more card making tutorials by me. Today I want to share with you a kit that I purchased from Queen & Company. It is their special delivery kit, and this kit includes 24 steel dies, and we'll look at everything in just a moment. So it shows all the dies here. It also includes the 12 foam acetate shaker shape. So this is a shaker kit, and it includes the foam and acetate to make the shaker bit pieces. And it includes 10 different toppings. The toppings are the shaker bits that you put inside the shaker pieces. So we'll see what kind of what those look like closer up. It also includes a 6x6 paper pad and a 6x8 stamp set. So here's the paper pad. It looks like it's some fall colors. And then the stamp set, which looks like they are some sentiments. So let's go ahead and open this up. It looks like it has some instructions on putting the old-fashioned truck together. I really love this truck. This is why I bought this kit, because I love these old-fashioned trucks. You can use them for really any time of year. This is obviously we'll be making some fall cards, but I can see using these for Christmas as well. Even Valentine's Day you can use them for, even just general happy birthday cards. But that looks like it's some instructions on how to put them together. Here are the dies that it comes with. There's actually several dies here. So we've got the pieces to make the truck, and then obviously the this little fence that's in the back of the truck for the pickup. There's also some Christmas tree hearts. So these are for different occasions. If you want to make this an all-occasion card, you can use it for Christmas. Here's a hearts for Valentine's Day. There's a snowflake. There's a pumpkin for fall. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like it might be a bow. I'm not quite sure. I have to, once I start, putting my hands into this, I'll be able to see what more of these pieces are for. And then there's some more pieces here that go along with the truck. So those are the dies. And let's go ahead and look at this paper pad. So these are double-sided sheets. So there's 24 papers, three sheets of each. So we've got some diamond shapes and some polka dots, some oranges and yellows, more polka dots, like a plaid red. Well, that's pretty for Christmas. I really love that. And that one as well. And then some of the lighter blues, blue and red. That's a pretty color combination. And then it looks like it starts back over, and there's 3 of each one. So that is your paper pad. Here are the sentiments. So we've got autumn greetings headed your way, sending you lots of warm winter wishes, heartfelt wishes heading your way, delivering some winter cheer to you, happy fall y'all, birthday wishes being delivered today, may your Christmas be loads of fun, lots of holiday cheer coming your way, you are the pick of the patch, so very thankful for all that you do. Sending a bushel of thanks, happy harvest, sending you loads of love, wishing you a very Merry Christmas, sending you autumn blessings, you are so sweet, thanks for all you do, a little something to pick you up, and delivering you some spooky fun. So I guess that one could be used for Halloween. That is a huge sentiment clear stamp page, so a lot of sentiments for various occasions. So let's go ahead and take a look at the shaker. So here are the foam pieces. So it looks like the foam piece is just for this. You can use it here for the back of the truck, or you can use it here for the side view of the truck. That's what it looks like to me. So the shorter one probably for the side view, and then for the back view here. So you have 2 foam sheets, and then of course, there's the acetate sheets. And look at all these toppings. These are so neat. Okay, these look like they are little apples. Those are so cute. Little apples. Then we have a few little, these look like small little sunflowers. Those are adorable. Then we have some yellow hearts. Then we have some Christmas trees, very small Christmas trees, some pumpkins, and these look like presents. These are cute. These are red and blue and white little presents. And then here's some more hearts, and more hearts. And then these I absolutely love. These are big sunflowers. Those are really pretty. So that is the kit. I'm looking forward to making a card with this. So the first card that I'm gonna make is going to be a truck with the side view. And you'll see that there's 2 dies in the package. And this set of dies are all of the dies that you would use to make a side view truck. And there are instructions that show you how to assemble the truck with the side view. If you want the truck with the back view showing, you will use this set of dies. And on the opposite side of the instructions are the instructions for putting the truck together using the back view. So it tells you exactly how to do it, cutting the base, cutting out the bumpers, the windows, and the side mirrors, the tires, and you'll be putting all that together. So that's what these 2 sets of dies are used for. So we'll be using this set of dies to begin our first card. For my first card, I took a piece of the pattern paper and I cut it out with a dotted square die, and I'm going to use my Misty, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And the ink I'm using is Gina K Designs. This is a Blue Lagoon color. And I had previously tested this color just to make sure this is the color I want. That's why you see the ink there on the paper. So I'm going to ink that up and press that down. Okay, so there is my sentiment. So I went ahead and die cut the truck using a blue cardstock that I had in my stash, and I'm using the Broken China Distress ink, and I'm just inking up the edges just to give this an old rustic look. And I'm also die cut the things that go over the wheels. I don't know what those are called, so we'll go ahead and add a little bit of ink to those as well. All right, so I'm gonna set this truck aside, and I have a card base that measures 5.5 by 5.5, and I cut another layer of the same colored cardstock as the truck, and I am going to adhere that to my card base. This is a size 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. So I'll go ahead and glue that down. Okay, then I cut another piece of the pattern paper down, shortly smaller. This is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. But before I put this one down, I want to add some ribbon. So I'm just gonna add some ribbon just right around the center. And I'm just gonna attach this with some tape. This is some double-sided tape. Just to hold that down. I went ahead and just added double-sided tape around the whole thing, and then I'm going to pick that up and attach that to my card base. So I went ahead and attached that to the card base, and then I have a piece of the blue paper, which I cut down to 4 and a 4 by 4, and then this was the original piece that I had. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these two. All right, so go ahead and adhere that at just a little slant. Press that down really well. And then we can start putting our truck on. All right, so I went ahead and cut out the wheels out of black. This is the die for the wheels. I cut those out 2 times. And for the center part of the wheels, I cut those out twice out of some sparkly silver cardstock. And for these, here's the 2 dies for that. And again, I don't know what these are called. The covers, the wheel covers. So I cut those out of the same matching blue. And then the truck, again, was cut out with the truck die. So when I place this, I'm going to place my wheels first because obviously those are going to be at the bottom. And I want to make sure that they're not going over the square or they're not too high. So I'm going to place those first and then place my truck just to kind of position it. And this is before I put anything down. I just want to position where I want things to go. And then I can start gluing this down. All right, so I've got my wheels in position and I'm just going to trace where I want these to go just in case they end up moving. And I'm gonna adhere these first. I'm just gonna attach these with some glue so that they rest flat against the card. And it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna erase that pencil mark. You're not gonna be able to see it anyway once everything is attached. Okay, and then this is my foam piece. I'm just positioning that just to make sure that's where I want it to go. Okay, and I'm going to use a pencil again just to mark the height of the truck. And then I'll probably have to erase that when I'm done. So let's go ahead and adhere this truck. And if any glue seeps out, we'll just clean that up. Okay, I'm going to add these last. So let's go ahead and add the centers for these wheels. Okay, and then we are going to go ahead and add our shaker piece. And there are 2 shaker pieces in the kit. So the short shaker piece is for the side view truck. And it's just going to go right over top of this square piece here. Okay, so we'll press that down and then we're ready to add our shaker bits inside. All right, so of course, this is a fall card. I'm going to add some pumpkin pieces here. And I'm also gonna put in some yellow hearts just to add a little bit more color. I'm probably gonna put some more pumpkin in there. And I'm just going into my stash and just adding some of these shiny shaker bits. Next, I'm going to peel back this cover and I'm adding the acetate to keep those shaker bits inside. And there's 2 fence dies in your kit, and the one that makes the shaker piece is the large one with the 3 lines going across. So I die cut that with the brown pattern paper, and I am just going to glue that just so that it sits right on top just like that. Now with the wheel covers, I am going to take a piece of my foam. So this is the foam piece that you get with the kit, and I'm just going to snip off the ends of this piece that I'm not using, and I am going to use them here because I want to raise up this wheel cover. So I'm just going to cut that down and add that. So I went ahead and added the foam to both sides, to both of the wheel covers, and I'm going to add the wheel cover there. So I'm raising it up to be the same height as the, what's it called? This little fenced area. Both of those, and it adds a nice dimension. I took some of these flowers from Queen & Company out of my stash, and I'm just going to take a hot glue gun and I am going to add these to my card. I went ahead and just positioned them where I want them to go. And then I'll just add some glue. This hot glue gun is terrible. I need to get a new one. I think I might put this on my Christmas list. So I'll add a couple there at the bottom. And then at the top here. And then I'm just adding the glue to the center because I want those leaves to be able to move. So that way they can move. They're not stuck to the card. And there's my completed card. So it's Autumn Greetings Headed Your Way, and it has the side view of the truck with the shaker bits in there. And I just love these colors together. So that is a square card. It's 5.5 by 5.5. So cute. For my next card, I am going to be using the truck, so it's showing from the back side. And I took my die and I die cut a piece of the red pattern paper. That is the base of the truck. And then all these other little dies that were in the set included, these two are for the windows on the mirrors, I'm sorry, not windows, the mirrors on the sides of the truck. And I die cut those out of a shiny, I don't know if you can tell, it's a shiny silvery mirror-like paper. So we'll glue those on. And then there is the long piece, which is this piece, which is for the bumper. And I die cut that out of a, it's a soft silvery glittery paper. And then this piece is for the rear view window. And then this piece here is for the tires. So I die cut two of those out of black. And then there's a smaller piece here, really, really tiny. You have to be careful with these dies because they're so small. And I cut two out of red. These are for the brake lights. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and assemble all these pieces together using my liquid glue. Next, I want to add a sentiment to the inside. So I'm taking my shaker piece and I'm going to position it where I know that it needs to go, and it's going to be flush along the top of this bumper. So it's between the brake lights and it's going right on top of the bumper. So I'm going to place it there and I'm going to put my sentiment right on the inside. That's just going to give me an idea of where this needs to be. And I'm going to take out my Misty. And I'm going to add this directly to my Misty. I'm going to hold that down with some magnets. Lift up this foam while I'm holding that stamp down. And then I'm going to grab this. Okay, I'm going to do some embossing. So before I do anything, I'm going to use my anti-static bag. And I am going to just put some of that on there, and then I'm going to ink up my stamp with some Versamark. Okay, that's going to be stamped right on that truck. And I'm going to take my Ebony Spark. This is a black embossing powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on there. And, oh, there I go, making a mess. That's okay, I'll clean it up. So stamp that on there and put some of that Ebony Spark on there. And then I'm going to use my heat tool. And it just adds a nice sparkly finish to the sentiment. I used these pumpkin dies to cut out some pumpkins. So I cut out orange, with this die, and then I cut out the outline with the brown, because when you layer these together, the orange will go right on top of the brown and you will be able to see the stem right up at the tippy top. So I did a bunch of those, so I'm just going to I shouldn't say distress, I'm going to ink up the sides of the pumpkin, and I'm also going to glue these together. So I think what I'll do is I will ink them up first, ink up the orange, and then I will glue them once they're all inked up. So I have my Distress Oxide carved pumpkin, and I'm just inking up the sides of the orange. I don't want that one. That one I cut the background part by mistake in the orange. So I'm just inking up the sides. I did a bunch of them. I'm just doing a few here on the video so that you can see what I'm doing. So just taking it, inking it up. You can see, I don't know if you can see that it just adds a little bit of depth to the pumpkin. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to just take the pumpkin layer, add some glue, and it's going to go right on top of the shadow layer, just so that the stem is showing underneath. So the entire brown part is going to be covered, and the only thing showing is going to be the brown stem. So I'm going to do that for all of them. All right, so I've got all my pumpkins put together. I don't know that I'm going to use all of these, but I've cut them all out, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere some of them. So now I'm going to take these pumpkin pieces, and because I want them to appear outside of the bed of the truck, so let's just go back to this card and just take a look at it. So I want them more or less to appear above this, this part, the truck bed. So I'm going to adhere these first, and I'm just going to position them just right below this window, and I probably will just be able to get about 4 on here. Okay, and once I have those laid down, then I can take my foam piece and I can adhere it right on top of those pumpkin pieces. And remember, the foam piece is going to go just above this bumper piece. Okay, so I am going to peel off the back side of the foam, and I'm going to go ahead and add this just so that it is centered around that Happy Harvest sentiment that I stamped on the inside. And I'm going to press that down really well. And then I'm ready to add my shaker bits to that. All right, so I took some shakers out of my stash. I'm going to add a little bit of these red sparkly shaker bits, some yellow. And then I'm going to use what came in the kit. I have a few of these orange hearts. So I'll put some of those in there. And I'm going to put a few yellow hearts. I think I'm going to take a few of these out just because my sentiment's not going to show up if I have too many in here. So I'm going to take some of this out. Okay, and then I'm ready to put my acetate piece on. So I'm going to peel back this top layer on the foam. Add the acetate. Now one piece that made it outside, so we'll put that aside for later. So I used this die and I cut it out of the pattern paper, the same pattern paper for the truck, and it looks like this. And I am going to use my glue and just adhere that directly down to the top of the foam. So I have all my papers cut. I'm using a red A2 size card base, and I'm using a piece of the polka dot pattern paper, and I cut this down just slightly smaller than the A2 size card base, which measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm gonna layer that directly on to the red cardstock. Now, the cardstock isn't a bright red, it's really a cranberry color. So it's a nice rich red, and it matches the truck really well. And then I cut a banner, and I cut this banner out of the banner die from Queen & Company, and I'm going to adhere that. I did use the yellow pattern paper that came with the paper pad. And then I cut 2 squares, one out of the cranberry and one out of the cream. The cranberry color is 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to adhere this down more towards the top. And then this cream is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. And this was just a piece of cardstock that I had in my stash. And then this cute little guy is going to go right over top of that. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of the truck, making sure to get the glue on those mirrors because they are sticking out and I don't want them to bend up. So that's going to go right in the middle of the square. Again, making sure you're pressing down those little mirrors, and then if any glue seeps out, just wipe that up. Then I'm going to take some twine, and I'm going to wrap this around. And I'm going to tie the knot up towards the top. So I'm actually going to put it underneath. That way it stays in place a little bit better. And tie that up in a knot. And tie that in a bow. And just bring that out just to make my loops a little bit smaller. And then we'll trim that off. Next, I'm going to take some of these red hearts that were included in the shaker bits, and I'm just going to apply some glue and add those to the bottom. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a pumpkin, put some hot glue on the back, and I'm going to adhere that directly to the twine. Next, I'm going to use the same colored cardstock that was for this piece, and I cut that down to a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm using another sentiment for the inside, and this is Sending You Autumn Blessings. I'm just stamping this in with cranberry Stamps of Life ink, and this is going to go on the inside of my card. And here's the final card. Okay, so you have the shaker, Happy Harvest, on the outside with the little shaker pieces and the pumpkin. Open it up, and Sending You Autumn Blessings. For my next card, I'm going to do a Christmas card, and I'm using an A2 size card base in the cranberry cardstock. And I cut down a green strip 4 1/8 by 3 1/8. That's going to layer on like this. I cut a piece of the pattern paper in a 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to layer on right on top of that one. And I also cut a green strip 1 1/4 by 5 3/8. And I'm also going to use this die that I have in my stash, and I'm going to die cut this out of the same red cranberry paper. So I'm just going to hold that down with a little bit of washi tape, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. So that's going to run through just like that. And then when this comes out of the die cut machine, I just have to snip the edges. And this is the piece that I'm going to layer on my card. So I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of glue along the top edge. And then I'm going to take this green strip and just put it over top. All right, so next I'm going to take this piece of cardstock or pattern paper and just layer that on top of the green. Okay, and then this piece is going to come on top. So I'm doing this next because I want to make sure that this is even with the edge, and if there's any excess, which there is, then I'll be able to just snip that off. So I'm just going to measure where I want this piece to go. I'm just going to put a little line here. And then I'll go ahead and attach that with glue. And then I want to find that little line that I made, and that's where the top of my piece is going to go. And it's going to be flush on one side. And it's going to extend off a little bit on the edge, but that's okay because I'll just snip this part off. And next, that entire layer is going to go on the card. Next, I cut a piece of the cream paper out of a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to use that to put my truck on. And I die cut the side view truck, and this is a piece of shimmery red cardstock that I had in my stash. I just like the look of how it shimmers, so I'm going to be using that. And I went ahead and die cut out all these other little pieces. So I cut a dark gray out for the wheels, and the same red for the tire covers, and then the cream for the inside of those tires. And I also die cut a Christmas tree. This is one of the Christmas tree dies that came with the set, and I did it out of the pattern paper that came with the Queen & Company pack, the 6x6 paper pad. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start placing this stuff. To add the foam for the shaker, so I'm going to just put that down, and I'm not going to add too much because I still want that tree to show. I'm going to add some of these just clear little gems because I think that may give an illusion of snow, and I like how that looks. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel this foam piece away, and I'm going to add my acetate over top to keep those shaker bits inside. So now I'm just going to add the fence part. This is the same color cardstock as the wheels. I'll just die cut that out. Okay, so I went ahead and attached the foam. I'm just going to peel the back side off.
So my battery ended up dying, and I added some glitter, as you see there, to the truck and to the Christmas tree by just putting some glue where I wanted the glitter, and then just just sprinkled some of the Lawn Fawn chunky glitter onto that to look like snow. And here I'm just taking some of the Christmas trees that came in the shaker bits, and I'm going to be putting some glue. I tried putting it on the actual tree itself, but that didn't work. So I'm just going to dab some glue into the scalloped border that's at the bottom of the card. And I'm going to pick up the Christmas tree and just put it on the little glue dot that I put there. And I'm going to do that all across the scallops there at the bottom of the card.
Okay, next I took this Joy die. This is a Queen & Company die, and I used the same green cardstock as here, and I die cut it 4 times. And after I die cut it 4 times, I layered each die cut piece on top of each other with glue. So it's a little bit of a thicker die cut, and it just gives a little bit more dimension. And once I add the glue, I'm going to add that to the top of my card. So next I'm just going to stamp the sentiment, wishing you a Merry Christmas, with the cranberry ink, just on a piece of the same color cream, and that's going inside of my card. So okay, the last thing I want to do is I want to add some glossy accents to this window, and I am just going to just gently squeeze and cover this entire window. And when you're using glossy accents, make sure you don't shake the bottle, because then you'll put air bubbles in it. Okay, and that will take a little bit to dry, but basically what that's going to look like, once it's dry, it's going to be like a clear film, and it will look like it's an actual window. So there's my final card. And when you open it up, wishing you a Merry Christmas. So I'm going to let that dry flat. For this next card, I went ahead and die cut a lot of the pieces out. I knew I wanted to use some of these sunflowers. So really quick, this die and this die make the sunflowers. So I die cut out of the yellow pattern paper and the brown pattern paper, so the large and then the smaller one, and those just layer right on top on one another. So I'm going to go ahead and just start gluing some of these pieces together. Here is cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and that's one of the pieces of pattern paper that came with the pad from Queen & Company's kit. And I have this fishtail banner that I got from Sunny Studios, and I'm going to die cut. And the way that this is going to be positioned, I'm going to have the truck at the top of the banner. So I just want to make sure that I measure, so I don't die cut. I don't want to obviously put this too high up, because then I won't have room to put my truck. And you want to make sure that the point here, when you're using one of these banners, that it is in the middle, if you're doing it like I've got it. So that looks like it will be enough room. So I'm going to go ahead and put my washi tape, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. I also took a piece of this striped paper and I cut this down to 3 by 4, and I went ahead and cut this down. I didn't need to cut it the same size as the card base because this orange part is gonna go over top of it. So I was able to save some paper there. So I'm gonna go ahead and adhere these together, making sure that I'm leaving some space along my card base. This is an A2 size card base, and I'm gonna adhere those together so that the card panel will look with the scallop on top and then the stripes at the bottom. So I wanna make sure that I'm adhering the shorter panel first, and then the orange panel is gonna go directly over top of that. So next I'm gonna start putting this, the rest of this truck together, and I'm gonna use these pumpkins and these sunflowers, and I'm just gonna position them where I want them to go. Remember, this foam piece is actually going to be pressed up against the bottom bumper of this truck. So some of these pieces will actually be tucked underneath. So I think I'm going to raise these up just a little bit because I don't want them too far down. And that looks about good. So I think what I'm going to do, because I need to make sure I remember the placement of all of this stuff, I'm going to lift this up, and I think I'll go ahead and just mark an outline of this pumpkin. We'll do a little of the sunflower and of this pumpkin, and then we'll be able to lay everything else on top of that. So let's go ahead and start adhering this stuff down. Next, I'm going to peel back the top layer of the foam to expose the adhesive, and I'm going to apply the acetate directly on top. Next, I took this die cut the same pattern paper as the truck, and now I'm going to apply glue and add that to the top of my shaker. And then I'm going to add the entire shaker to the top of this card. Okay, next I stamped the sentiment autumn greetings headed your way in an orange ink, and I am going to adhere that to the top of this pattern paper, same color as the truck. And then I'm just going to snip off the end. So I added a thinner foam. It's not the same thickness as the foam that comes with the Queen & Company kit. It's a much thinner foam. And I'm gonna add the sentiment right to the bottom center. Next, I'm just adding some twine. So just tie that in a knot, cut that off. Next, I'm going to take these two little tiny sunflowers that came with the kit, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back and just adhere them to the sentiment. And just to complete this card, I'm going to use this sunflower that came with the kit. I'm going to snip these down just a little bit more. And I'm going to apply some hot glue to the back of this. And I'm going to adhere that right to the top of that twine. So that completes my card. Autumn greetings headed your way. I love the sunflower and the pumpkins together. And the color of that truck is super cute.
So for my next card, I'm going to go with more of a Valentine love theme, and I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm just layering on some Spectrum Sparkle pens in pink champagne and macaroon. Those are the two colors I used, and I'm using a wet paintbrush and just blending those colors together because I want to create just a nice, pretty, sparkly color where I can die cut some hearts out of this paper. So again, just applying some of the Spectrum Sparkle, blending it out with a wet paintbrush. And I think it adds a nice shimmery shine, and then I just dry it because I don't want to leave it wet while I run it through the die cut machine. And I'm going to use the hearts and cut those out.
So I then took a scalloped rectangle, which cut out this border, and I did that in white. And then I used a piece of the pattern paper and I cut this down to 5 3/16 by 3 15/16. So it's really, 5 3/16 is just under 5 1/4, and then the 3 15/16 is just under 4 inches. So, you can just use your best guess if you're using the same dies just to make sure that it fits underneath. So you can use a ruler and just kind of measure. And then the card base is my red card base. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. I'm just going to make sure that is centered. And then this scallop is going to go right over top. And then I already cut out my truck. So I cut out my truck in the red. I love using the red. I love the red truck. And then I cut out the tires in brown pattern paper. Want to make sure that those are in the same direction. And then I just use the gray to go over the top. So I'm going to bring this down just like I did with the other ones, and I'm just going to measure where I want this to go. So next, I just placed everything where I think I want it to go. I went ahead and cut out a banner. This is a die cut banner. This is one of these dies from Queen & Company's foundation set. So I think I'm going to use that and put a sentiment in there, and I'm pretty sure that's the location it's going to be. So I wanted to place all my hearts to see where I want them to be before I adhered anything down. So I'm going to leave that. The foam isn't adhered either, and I'm going to go ahead and start placing. So one of the hearts I put double-sided adhesive, a very thin foam. I'm going to put that there on top. And this one I want to tuck in a little bit. I think I'm going to just snip off a little bit of the bottom. And then put some foam so that it's popped up just a tiny bit. And it has to lie flush against where I put the foam piece. So I'm just pressing it against that. And I know that that's where I'm going to put my foam piece. And I believe I'm gonna go ahead and add some foam to this one and just cut off the little piece at the bottom. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and peel this back and add this piece. So I have some of these in my stash. These are just some pink crystals. And I'm gonna put some of the clear. And I'm gonna put in a few of the red hearts. Now I'm gonna peel this back and add my acetate. All right, so I am going to go ahead and add my fence. And I went ahead and added the double-sided foam to the wheel covers. And I am going to use one more heart. And I'm going to add this to the truck. And then I'm ready to stamp my sentiment. I went ahead and positioned it on the paper. Close that to catch the stamp. Stamp this up with the red ink. I added some double-sided adhesive to the back of the sentiment. This is the thinner adhesive. It's not the thick adhesive from Queen & Company. I didn't want it to stand up that high. So we'll go ahead and add this. First I'm going to put a little glue on the sentiment itself, and I'm going to take one of the shaker bits. This is actually a teal colored heart. I didn't want to do the red just because the sentiment is red. I wanted it to stand out. For the inside of this card, I just put a piece of white cardstock. I had a few hearts left over, so I added those to it. And that completes this card. I think it turned out really cute. Can be used for just, you know, a love note, Valentine's Day, and I just love it. I love the colors. I think it's super cute. My next card, I went ahead and did a lot of die cutting, and I'm using some dies that I have in my stash. I wanted to create a snowy scene, so I didn't want to use the papers in the pack, but I did want to use the truck, obviously, because I love this truck, but I wanted to create just a little bit of a snowy scene with some other dies. So I have this snowy scene background die, which I cut out of a light blue cardstock. And this is a lawn fawn die, and I also have this lawn fawn die, which are the birch trees, and I cut some of those out of just some white cardstock. And then obviously the truck, this was cut out of the same shimmery red that I did the previous card in. And then I've got some dark gray for the wheels and some light gray for the insides. And then I have some glitter paper that I did some hillsides, and I used a hillside border. This is one from Stamps of Life, and I cut out some two of those hillsides to create the snowy look. So I'm going to start off by just taking this background and just putting some ink on it. This is the Tumbled Glass Distress ink. I'm just going to come on the edges. I'm doing this because I just want to add a little bit of color. I don't want this background to be so flat. Next, I'm going to take a piece of glitter paper, and I just want to adhere this background onto the glitter paper. So I'm pressing down really hard, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some acrylic blocks on here to hold this down. Because it is glitter paper, I just want to make sure that it is adhered pretty strong before I start cutting this and trimming this down. All right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to trim this down. And I love how that glittery background, it shows through these little holes and stars and just creates a little snowy looking sky. I think that's really pretty. Next, I'm going to take these birch trees and I'm going to glue them down. And I'm going to line them up with the top edge. And they're going to extend off the bottom, and that's okay because we'll cut them off. All right, so I went ahead and adhered them all. So now I'm just going to flip this over and trim off the bottoms. So there's my background so far. All right, so I went ahead and put my 2 pieces of glitter paper together, and I'm just gonna mark where I want these to go. That way when I apply the glue, I make sure I get them in the same spot. Okay, so I just covered up that pencil mark just a bit. I'm just gonna press those 2 pieces together. I'm gonna hold these down with an acrylic block just so that those adhere well together. All right, next I'm just placing it where I want it on this scene. I'm gonna flip this over. I'm just going to draw with my pencil. That way I know where I want this to go. So I'm just gonna put glue right on the inside of that square, or those square, right on the inside of that pencil mark. And then I'm gonna place this down. And I will hold that down with an acrylic block. All right, now I'm gonna come in and I'm going to trim off this excess glitter paper. And there is my snowy border. I cut a banner, one of these banner dies out. This is a Queen and Company die, and I'm gonna use the sentiment, "May your Christmas be loads of fun." I'm gonna ink that up with the same cranberry ink that I've been using. This matches the truck, so it's perfect. All right, I'm gonna start putting this card together. So I went ahead and placed my wheels where I want them to go. So I'm just gonna put a little mark there so I know where I want them, and I'm gonna lift this up. And that's where my sentiment's gonna go. Before I do anything, I have this sheer shimmer spray, and I'm just gonna spritz this on. I'm just gonna cover up those glittery hillside and just gonna spritz this on the background and let that dry. So I went ahead and die cut the snowflake die out of some glitter paper, and I am going to just add some of that All right, so there's my finished card. May your Christmas be loads of fun. I love this winter scene. I think it turned out really, really cute. So here are all my cards. I did 6 cards with the kit. I have a few of the fall cards, a couple of the winter theme, and then a heart theme. And there are a couple dies that I did not use. I have the apples here, so you have the shadow layer and then the top layer. And then for the present, you have the box as well as the bow. So you can use the present to make some gifts to put in the back of the truck. You can use it for Christmas, or you can use it for birthday. So really, really cute. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and make sure you click that bell button so you can get notified every time one of my tutorials come about. So have a great day.